Hello and welcome back to my channel. In today's video I'll be showing us how to cut a basic bodice pattern. It is going to be a full bodice pattern, that is going to get to the length of the blouse or top, so please watch till the end of the video. For the measurements I used for this pattern, I will be putting that up. You'll be seeing all the measurements. For this tutorial, I'll be using my brown paper, my paper scissors, my tape rule, my marker, my curve rule, my armhole curve, and my straight rule. So let's get into the video. I have folded my pattern paper into two using my biggest body measurement, which is my hip measurement. So I folded my paper into two because I'll be cutting the front and the back together. And the length of the pattern paper is the length of my blouse, which is 26 inches. I'll go ahead and note my vertical measurements. I'm using the start of the paper as my shoulder line, and from my shoulder line to my bust point line is 10.5 inches, and I've noted that. From my shoulder line to 16.5 is my waist measurement, and from my shoulder line to 24.5 inches is my hip measurement, and the length of the blouse is 26 inches. I would note all that and then draw a line across these points. Because the human shoulder is not straight but sloped, I will be taking the shoulder slope, and for me to do that I'll be using the 3-inch 8-inch standard to take slope. I'll be noting 3-inch and 8 inches, and on the 8 inches point I'll be coming down by ½ inch and also by 1 inch. 1 inch for the front shoulder slope and ½ inch for the back shoulder slope. This is because the back shoulder is higher than the front shoulder, and I'll connect these points on the 8-inch point to the 3-inch point separately, like you see me do. The ½ inch is for the back shoulder slope and the 1 inch is for the front shoulder slope. Then I'll be imputing half of my armhole circumference, which is 8.5. My armhole circumference is 17 inches and half of that is 8.5. So from my shoulder I'll be measuring 8.5 inches, and I will note that, and then I will draw a line across the 8.5 inch point. I would note that in two places and then draw a line across it. Then on my shoulder line I'll be imputing half of my shoulder measurement, that is the measurement from one shoulder to the other shoulder, which is also known as the across back. I'll be imputing half of that, which is 8.5. I'll also note that on my chest line and join the two lines together. Then I'll be imputing quarter of my bust measurement, which is 9.5. I'll impute that on the chest line. And then for me to make my armhole curve, I'll be measuring from the ½ inch I came down for the back shoulder to the chest line. I will divide that line into two and note the point, and then connect the line to my chest line like you see me do, and that will be the armhole curve for the back. And for the front armhole curve, I'll be measuring from the 1 inch I came down for the slope. I'll measure what I have, divide that into two, and then note the point, the middle point, and from that middle point I'll be coming in by ½ an inch like you see me do. I'll come in by ½ an inch and then connect that point to the 1 inch slope point I came down by, and also to the chest line. With my armhole curve, I'll connect the 3 points together from the 1 inch I came down by to the ½ inch I came in by, and then to the chest line, and that will be my front armhole. Then I will impute quarter of my waist measurement, which is 8 inches on the waistline, and then I'll put an extra 1 inch for that because there will be that on this pattern. And on the hip line I'll be imputing quarter of my hip measurement, which is 11 inches. Then I'll use a straight ruler to connect my bust measurement to my waist measurement, and then using the curved part of my pattern master I'll be connecting the waist to the hip, the waist measurement to the hip measurement, and then I will be using the straight part of my pattern master, I would be placing it on the waist and the hip line to then connect to the length of my top. The bust span I'm working with, that is the nipple to nipple measurement, is 8 inches. 8 divided by 2 is 4. So I'll be measuring 4 inches from the center front on the bust point line, the waist line, and also on the hip line, and I'll connect these points together using a straight ruler. And then from my bust point, to get the darts on my waist, I will be taking ½ inch on both sides, and then from the bust point I'll be coming down by 1 inch, and then from the hip line I'll be coming up by 2 inches, and then I will make my darts. From the 1 inch I came down by to the waistline, and then from the waistline to the 2 inches I came up by from the hip line, and that will be my dart for the front. For the neckline, I will be using a neck width of 3 inches and a neck depth of 3 inches for the front, and a neck depth of 1 inch for the back. I'll use my armhole curve to connect them and draw out my neckline for the front and then for the back. I will then cut out my pattern and then split it into 2 for the front and the back pattern. While cutting out, I'll be cutting out the back armhole first and the back shoulder slope first, and then the back neckline. I've labeled all the lines and then I will cut them out. Then I will cut out the pattern. Also, this is not a compulsory step, but if you like, you'll be coming up from the hem point by the side. I'll be coming up by ½ inch and connecting it to the center part of the top to give it a curvy effect. I'll be connecting it, I'll go up by ½ inch and connect it to the center point, and then I'll be trimming that out to give it a curvy effect. Then I would trim out my pattern. I'll be cutting out the back armhole first, since I'm cutting the back and the front together, as well as the shoulder slope, the ½ inch for the back, and also the neckline for the back. Then I will split the front and the back open before I cut out the shoulder slope for the front and also the armhole for the front. For the back dart, I'll be redrawing my chest line, my waistline, and my hip line. And then I'll be also noting the bust span measurement, half of the bust span measurement, and connect the lines together. Then from the chest line, I'll be coming down by 1 inch from the chest line, and from the hip line I'll be coming up by 1½ inch. Then I'll be taking the same dart, ½ inch on both sides on the waist, and connect it to these points that I've made. I'll be connecting it to the 1 inch below the chest line and 1½ inch above the hip line, and that will be the back dart. The back will be cut on fold. Since there is no zipper allowance, the back will be on fold. It will be cut on fold. Then for the front, I will be trimming off the slope, the shoulder slope for the front, as well as the armhole curve for the front, and also the neckline for the front. The front will also be cut on fold. Please note that when you're cutting and you're not adding a zipper allowance, you have to make the neck width and the neck depth wider than what I have used. You can make it the neck width to be 5 inches and the neck depth to be about 4 inches. And that is it for our pattern. Please give this video a thumbs up if it has been helpful, and please subscribe to my channel. Until my next video, bye.